Hello students, this is Mrs. K. So today we're talking about your iMaths investigation. This is an iMaths investigation for people in year 3. So it's pretty exciting to do an iMaths investigation. We always learn a lot and we always get to do a lot in an iMaths investigation. So this iMaths investigation is called Top Team. It's iMaths investigation 10. Okay, I'm going to read to you what this iMaths investigation says. It says being active helps us to feel good about ourselves. Competing in team games is a good way for us to exercise. Your challenge is to create four team activities that are enjoyable and also improve skills. Some of these activities will need to be timed or measured. Because teams will be competing, you will need to design scorecards and have clearly explained rules. You will keep your own scores, so be honest. Work as a team and encourage each other's. Yours might be the top team. Okay, so that's what this piece of paper here, which we call our investigation, that question is the investigation. It's telling you what you need to do. So we can see the picture here shows somebody kicking a ball as though he's in a game, a little kangaroo. But you can see some people in the background. So what is important here, even though it says you're going to be playing the game, you know, what's important is not that you get to play the game with a team. That would be fun to try it out. But what is really important is that you come up with some good ideas for team games. Okay, so, and you will need to do a few different things in your investigation. When we do an investigation, there's always these topic pages here that we need to have a look at. That tells us some of the important things that we will need to be able to do in order to do our investigation. So I've been busy in my office doing some printing out to show you all the things you're going to need. You're going to need your mental strategies for addition. That's written on here. Here it says you need this page, the next page, and the next page. So there's a few different ones that you need. This one here is called the mental strategies for addition. So I'm going to do a little bit of a lesson for you about that page so that you'll know how to do the mental strategies for addition. And what do? They just help you be super duper good at adding up. Okay, so whenever we do an investigation, we've got to do step one. Step one, read and plan. So 1, read and plan. It helps us to understand the investigation. So we need to read the question. You should read the question through with your home tutor or have them read it to you. And then you should make sure you really understand what they want you to do. You also need to understand the meanings of the words. So what does it mean to be active? It means running around and doing a lot of things, using your body. That means that you're active. What does it mean? Challenging. If something is challenging, that means it's a little bit difficult, you're not quite sure how, or you're not really used to doing it. But if you work really hard, then you just might be able to do it. A little bit like this maths investigation, right? Repetitions means how many times do they need to do a thing? How many times will we do it? So if something is repeated, we do it a number of times. So repetition. What about the timing? So Mum could time you. She could say, let's see how long it's going to take you to get all of these toys picked up and put away. That could be timed. So that would be timing you. And then she'd start a stopwatch and press go, and it might take you 5 minutes. I don't know. But Mum would time you through that. Oh, look, that was 4 minutes and 45 seconds. Let's celebrate because that's faster than what we did it yesterday. So that's timing you. Improve skills. So if you've got skills in something like bouncing a ball or throwing and catching or standing on one leg, you could have a skill there already, but maybe you want to do better at it. You can improve your skills, do better, improve that skill. What else is there? There's competing. Competing. So competing is where there's a few different people in a race or a few different people in a game, and they're seeing who can do the best at that thing. So it might be who can stand on one leg the longest. It might be who can kick the ball the furthest. It might be who can use the hula hoop for the longest amount of time. All these different things. You can compete. So competing is trying to do the best out of a group of people. Rounds. What do they mean when they say rounds? It's not round like a circle, is it? When we say rounds, we mean that something goes from here to there, to there, to there, and back again. Okay, so we might have a few rounds on an obstacle course. We might say, first you have to wriggle through the tunnel, then you have to jump over the sandpit, then you need to climb hand by hand on the monkey bars, and then it's time to wriggle through the tunnel again because you're starting a new round. You see that? So then you'd go, jump over the sandpit, then hand by hand over the monkey bar, and you've done 2 rounds. Next time, wriggle, wriggle, wriggle through the tunnel. Jump over the sandpit, and then hand by hand over the monkey bars, and then you have done a number of rounds. Okay, so that's what a round is. A round is something that means you're sort of starting again in that area. Okay, so perhaps we're back. We seem to be back, so terrific. Okay, so here we are. We're talking about all the words that we need to know. What about measuring? Measuring something. Now, we can measure something to see how long it is. We can measure something to see how tall it is. We can measure something to see how much there is, like how much milk, the volume of milk, for instance. And we can measure how far someone jumps. We could measure how high they can jump. We can also measure time. Using our timer, we can time and see how long it takes them to run from here to there, for instance. So that's another way that we can measure something. The next word is brainstorm. You're going to need to brainstorm. Brainstorm, does that mean you've got a cyclone inside your head? No. A brainstorm is where you try to think of a lot of different possible answers and not be too concerned about getting just the right one, not just one answer, but lots and lots of different answers. Write them all down on your whiteboard or something. Just come up with ideas, talk with someone and let them have ideas too. And then when you've done that, then you're able to think about maybe one right answer or a couple of really good possible answers and explore those. So you don't try out all of your ideas. Usually you'll just come up with lots of ideas and then just try out 1 or 2 of them to see which one really works for you. That's a brainstorm. Thinking about lots of different ideas for a problem. Trundle wheel. Oh, do you know what a trundle wheel is? So if you live nearby to the school, we'd be able to loan you a trundle wheel. But if you live really, really far away, like an hour or 2 or 3 or 4 hours away from us, then it's a little bit harder. But a trundle wheel is a circle like this, and it's got a big, long handle, and you walk along with that handle, and every time the wheel goes all the way around, it goes click, click, click. It only turns around when you're walking. So click, click, click. Okay, so as you walk along, click, click, click. Each one of those clicks means that that wheel has travelled a certain amount of distance. And so you could say that was 4 clicks of the trundle wheel long. And that's an easy way to measure something when it's a little bit difficult another way perhaps. So if you don't have another way to measure something, the length of a space, it might be easy to measure it with a trundle wheel. We'll have to see if we can find a video or something so you can see how trundle wheels work. Okay, so the other thing you need to know about before you get started on your investigation, there's a couple of things here that you need to know. One, you need to know that I'm going to have a look at what you do at the end, and I'll be saying, you did a pretty good job, or oh, you need a little bit more work on this or that. And so when I'm doing that, I will be using something that we call a rubric. And I will use this rubric to help me to mark your work. Here it is. This is a rubric. And I'll look on here and I'll see how I think you did according to this rubric. What kinds of things you found easy, what kinds of things you found harder. And your home tutor will help me to find out where you needed help and where you were able to do something completely by yourself. It's good to get help when you need it, because then you might be able to do it completely by yourself next time. But if you don't get help when you need it, then sometimes you don't really learn how to do it better next time. Okay, the other thing is right here, the iMaths investigation plan. This needs to be filled out. Now, I think that your home tutor will probably sit with you and help you to fill it out. So they'll ask you questions and you come up with your ideas about it, and you'll talk about all sorts of different things that might be able to, say, help you with it. You'll think about what do you have to do for this investigation? Remember what you have to do for this investigation? Can you remember? For this investigation, you are going to need to design a set of games or challenges. You need to design some activities. So you need to design 4 activities. What do I mean by design? I mean plan. Come up with an idea. Have an idea about 4 different activities that people could do as a game to play against each other and to see what they can do well. Okay, so when you've done this investigation plan, you're going to write in here, what do I need to do? I need to plan 4 activities, 4 sports activities or 4 games, something like that. Whatever you need to write there, you think about it so that when your tutor asks you after this video, you'll be able to come up with an answer. And then you're going to need to get some help, and you'll write down, where will I get help? Will I get help from a teacher or the internet or my parents or a special helper at school or friends or practice or books or a telephone interview or somewhere else? Maybe you've got a brother who's really good at this kind of thing. Who knows? You'll be able to get some help from somewhere. I think these topics are really important to this investigation. So you're going to need to think about, what will you need to know? Now, I can tell you, you're going to need something like how to use time. You're going to be able to need to understand how time works. You're going to need to understand how centimetres work. Who knows? There might be all sorts of different things. You think about it and see what you can think of. What do you think you're going to have problems with? What do you think will be hard? What do you think will be so easy for you? Maybe you are already fantastic at planning activities, so you could say, oh, coming up with ideas will be easy for me. Or maybe you will say, oh, well, it might be easy for me, but I don't know how to use a stopwatch. I don't know how people are timed. I don't know how to keep score. Those things will be hard. So you think about that. And now I want you to find 2 words from the list in step 1. I've just read all these words out and given you some meanings, but I want you to find 2 of those that you don't know what they mean and write them down here. Your home tutor might do the writing for you, and then write out the meanings of them. Okay, that's all we need to know about our investigation for now. Fantastic. We'll talk about it again soon. Okay, bye-bye.